Off to Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time. The big one for us, the British Grand Prix. We've got an F1 show special. That's live from the grid with the audience in the stands there from 6 on the Thursday. Then on the Friday, the F1 show's at the same time. Qualifying is from 12 on the Saturday and 11:30 on air on the Sunday. Now, elsewhere on Sky Sports, it's day 4, final round. 4 tied for the lead as well at the US Open, 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 4. Well, there we go. I mean, really, Damon, it was a brilliant race from Nico Rosberg. The fact was, he just seems to like this track, doesn't he?
Do you know, you asked me who I thought was going to win, and I, like Lewis Hamilton, thought Lewis Hamilton was going to win. I think I wasn't alone. But Lewis made a couple of mistakes. You know, didn't quite get as good a start. The penalty thing was a bit demoralising, and he couldn't quite really haul in Nico around this track. It's so difficult to get an edge, a big advantage. And we've seen, I think, on technical tracks that Nico seems to have the ability to, you know, he's very good. He doesn't make mistakes, and he kept Lewis at bay. And well, it's great performance, you know. He didn't get qualifying. He might have got pole position. We'll never know. He overcooked it. But it's so close between them two. And now only 10 points between them in the championship.
The championship, isn't it? We know that 3 wins in the last 4 races for the German driver. Let's just go upstairs to Crofty as well, who is standing by. Hashtag Ask Crofty. Want to hear from you as well. I mean, there were plenty of negative tweets up there as well. We heard Crofty about a little bit on the slow side, that race.
Right, dull, processional, boring, turn off, not watching F1. You can tweet that as much as you want. I don't agree with you at all. I've seen worse races than that. We had incidents. Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen on the first lap. We had cars retiring, 14 finished the race, but we had overtaking as well. Are you telling me that Valtteri Bottas didn't put in 2 really good overtaking moves? Verstappen and Hülkenberg and Maldonado swapping places, switching around. Sebastian Vettel closing in on Felipe Massa at the end of that race. We didn't know who was going to get 3rd place right up to the checkered flag. And even Nico Rosberg, the race winner, after a great start, struggling towards the end with vibrations. Is that really boring, or are you just kind of perpetrating a myth? I don't care what your view is, give it to me now. Hashtag Ask Crofty.
Yeah, come on people, look for the positivity if we could, because that man there has had a very, very positive day, hasn't he? Yeah, let's get back to that. It was, hey, funny, isn't it, that Felipe Massa's son, Felipe Jr., at the Sky Pad with Johnny the other day, correctly predicting his dad would finish 3rd.
That's amazing. Sign him up. Get Sky there. Sign him up now. Terrific for Felipe Massa too. But I know I'm with David. I have to say, you know, the way to watch these races, you have to watch the timing screen as well, and you have to watch all the way through the field. And you're never going to get a scintillating, unbelievable race every time. But I think that was as fascinating to watch and as interesting to watch as most Grand Prix can be. It was a close finish. There was tension along the way. I mean, we can ask Paddy about that. I mean, because we're just saying there was some tension there in the race. Some comments are saying, people are saying it's a bit of a boring race, but actually, you know, it's never boring Formula One because things can happen. And Nico had a problem at the end. Lewis unfortunately got that penalty. So some things to be concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is, from our point of view, when we're in, it's always very busy and stressful on the pit wall, so it's difficult always to understand how interesting it is as a spectacle, because that's an entirely different thing.
Paddy, let me just move you, because there's a gigantic truck about to take us out. So let's go over here. Sorry, carry on.
We're never in the slightest bit bored on the pit wall.
Yeah.
As was true today, a lot going on behind the scenes. I expect really it took a bit of the tension out of the race when Lewis got the penalty, because clearly he realised then that a win wasn't possible.
Just tell us what was going on at the end with Nico. Why is he so concerned? Why was Nico so concerned at the end?
He picked up. So one of the things with the tyres here is that towards the end of the stint you can get graining, and he was getting some graining on his front tyre, which was appeared to be a bit out of round, so it was causing vibration. To be honest, he was a lot more worried about it than we were. So really, it was more about reassuring him that, just take it easy, it'll be fine. We're monitoring it.
Were you surprised by Lewis's mistake? It's not often we see that from him.
No, it's very, very, very unusual. Actually, both Nico and Lewis, if you consider the results we've had in the last year and a half, people assume that that's, easy to do when you've got a great car. But it's not, and you know that, Damon. There's so many man traps out there waiting for you.
Yes.
At every step of the way. So
thankfully, you kept me out of most of them,
yes.
Paddy.
But so you just saw a little error there from Lewis. I think it's more extraordinary to think about how many times he and Nico don't make errors like that.
I mean, we were looking down the field. Obviously, you've had such a fantastic dominance over the last couple of seasons now. We were sort of hoping Ferrari might put a bit more pressure on you. So you still got loads in reserve, haven't you?
Yeah, I think looking at Friday and the running then, we were really quite worried about the pace of the Ferrari. They looked very, very strong indeed. And then, fortunately, today that didn't seem to pan out because we were really geared up for a bit of a fight today. A lot of pressure from Sebastian from behind, but that didn't materialise.
Next up, Silverstone. What are we expecting from that? It'd be great to have another home win.
Well, that's a big race for us, obviously. Mostly because we've got all the staff from Brackley and Brixworth. They can get involved in that race as well. It's the home Grand Prix. Get to see the car run, the car they've built. So it's a really big one. And one that, for that reason, you want to get a great result.
Yeah,
so
right.
You're looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've had a
and I
great
think,
result
clearly for Lewis, it's a big one, his home Grand Prix. And to be honest, one of the greatest moments I ever get in Formula One is when you hear the home crowd at Silverstone cheer for Lewis. I've heard that on a number of occasions, and it's really quite emotional.
Great stuff, Paddy. Appreciate your time. As always, we'll let you get in there and get some champagne down.
Thank you very
deserved
much.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Loads more reaction when we come back, but it is Nico Rosberg who's taken the win, an emphatic win here in Austria. Back-to-back wins in the Austrian Grand Prix for Nico Rosberg.
Yes, come on, guys.
Bang on cue, Toto Wolff arrives. Congratulations, Toto. How was that from your perspective?
Very, very exciting for us. I'm an Austrian, it's my home Grand Prix. It's why I got in touch with racing first time, so it's always very emotional for me. And I wanted to do a great race from Nico without any mistakes and with a great pace, so he deserved the win.
Yeah, I mean, since Monaco, 2 nigh on perfect weekends. I mean, Lewis will be disappointed, obviously, with the way things panned out today, but from the team's perspective, back right on it.
Yes, from the team's perspective, we collected a lot of points. With 1 and 2, Ferrari unfortunate with that massive shunt at the beginning. Glad that nothing happened. And then Sebastian's misfortune in the pit stop. So, but you could see pace in the Ferrari, and so we have to keep with both teams on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the pace, but we've really, last 2 races, not quite seen it to any full extent. How far realistically do you think they are behind you?
In raw pace, we are seeing sessions where they are quicker than us, but they don't seem to get it together. And I think in the evolution or development of a team, and we have seen it with us in 2013, this is how it starts to pan out and to develop. So we are very cautious and very careful about how they continue, and we are just keeping the pressure in the system. We keep developing in order to just counter steer.
Okay, thanks, Toto. We'll move on to Silverstone. We'll see you
very
then.
much.
Well done again. Let's get to the Skypad. Johnny is there. He's going to have a look at, amongst other things, the start and also that crash.
Well, the start is always important for Lewis Hamilton. This is where it needed to go right for him. But if you listen to the engine note as he launches, you can just hear there's a couple of stabs, it seems, with the clutch. So he doesn't get that drive and of course his teammate is able to get up the inside. But of course he gets around the corner, and then he's got to sort of think, right, what can I do now, because I need to get in the front and control this race. But if we then go and have a look at what Rosberg's start was like, it'll be plain to see exactly what does happen. So he gets off the line perfectly. Lewis is struggling. Lewis tries to squeeze him on the inside, realises it's not really going to happen for him. Nico then has the good line to get the drive down the main straight. Loses a little bit here, does Lewis, but then the slipstream effect comes into play. Nico is looking in his mirrors, can see it happening, defends on the inside. Lewis tries to go around the outside. They both effectively outbrake themselves, and Nico is able to keep that lead, which he did to all the way to the end. But of course, a little bit further back, we've got Kimi Räikkönen. One man you need to look at as well is here. He's Ericsson, because obviously, well, as we did see, he got a bit of a jump start. There's that jump start, but a great start from Kimi. Maldonado there sort of struggles, but he gets up the inside, has a nice open track in front of him. So he thinks everything's okay, but Maldonado just there on the outside gives him a good run for his money. Can't use all the road, Kimi, so he loses a bit of drive down towards turn 2, gets that slipstream, has to go to the outside because the Venezuelan defends on the inside. Brakes very late, does actually Pastor. Then it all sort of bottlenecks up. Kimi really gets a little bit stuck behind Maldonado there. That it's, as he said to Natalie, there's the sort of initial steering movement that we get, and there is the McLaren of Fernando Alonso, absolutely unbelievable, climbing over the top of Räikkönen. But again, if we see it from a different track angle, we've got a sort of a magnified one here. So if we start it off, you can see the red Ferrari there. And you'll just start to see the movement now. There's the first kick. Then it goes the other way. Fernando goes to the left side. But of course, Kimi then careers into the side of him, smashing into the barrier. Then his front scoops up Fernando and puts him on top of the barrier as they slide down the barrier. But wonderful to see the two guys actually getting out okay. But I believe Natalie is with Fernando Alonso.
Well, Fernando, it's good to see that you've still got a bit of a smile on your face, because that was a worrying moment for everyone, not least you, I'm sure. Can you explain to us what happened?
Yeah, well, I started very good today, and I made a lot of places in turn 1, turn 2. I was 14th or something at that point, and then Kimi was with the prime tire, so he exited turn 2 with a lot of wheel spin, so the car was moving, and we were all overtaking him, left and right. And at one point he lost the car to the left, and I was on the left, so we went both on the wall, and yeah, I was lucky to don't hit him on the head, because looking at the replay, I was obviously braking, but my wheels were on the air, so I was close to with him, but yeah, luckily we both fine, and yeah, but. Yeah, it was strange, you know, I was in the wrong place, and it was very strange incident, because he lost the car in 5th gear or something like that. Is strange, very low grip.
I mean, it is obviously a massive relief to everyone that you're okay, but just reflecting on this weekend, we were talking to Jensen about the sense that you guys feel a responsibility to keep morale up in the team, because everyone talks to us about how do you keep 2 world champions happy when you're always retiring, but actually it's you guys keeping the team up as well.
Yeah, I think it's just teamwork, what we need to have now, and you know, it's normal that the expectations of McLaren-Honda combination is higher than what we are achieving now, but definitely we are moving in the right direction, and now we are inside the team, we know the progress, we know the plans for the near future, and we are optimistic, because I think things will change very quickly, and I don't know if we will take 2 races or 6 races, but no more than that.
Well, they didn't think they were going to get any points, so he gets an early bath. He's probably quite happy just to get away from the circuit quicker.
That's a bit of an extreme way, isn't it, to get an early bath? I was thinking it's a bit like a cycling accident, that, you know, the guy, you're told with cycling not to get an overlap, because if somebody wiggles, it takes your front wheel out. It's exactly what happened. Kimi lost traction, and Fernando said he was in the wrong place, so no blame really on either part.
Let's have another look at it. I think we've got a few angles of the crash as well. I mean, yeah, this is it. I mean, it could have been a lot nastier. That's the thing, to see there's 2 such experienced drivers as well. It's clearly just a racing incident, and it's nice to see them getting out straight away. unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, it was very worrying, wasn't it? First of all, you've got a car on top of another. Here we can see the point of view again from Kimi. You can see the little wiggle there, and where he's lost traction, and that's just obviously caught Fernando's car. And when these rear wheels, if you get on, too close or the wheels touch, it lifts the car behind, gets dragged over by the rotation of the rear wheels. So that's what's happened. Both drivers very lucky.
Yeah, combined though, again, another double retirement. It's just, they look at it, we talked about this at the start of the programme, about it's gone beyond teething problems now. And at what point do they start really ramping up the pressure on Honda?
Yeah, well, I think they're doing that. I mean, I don't think it goes without saying, it's staring everyone in the face. It's not like they have to tell Honda anything. They must know. And I was told that excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It's getting a bit chilly out.
There's a lot of pollen now.
But I've got a Honda allergy. But I heard the boss of Honda was here. And so, the Honda people know. The question is, and I think David was saying this earlier, it's all very well knowing the problems there, but where do you spend the money? If the regulations say you can't develop beyond a certain point, these things are restricted, that's where they're stuck. So the old way of dealing with things, where you outdevelop, you outspend the other team, they've put a lid on it. So it's all great as long as you're at the front, which is what Mercedes are.
Okay, let's hear from Rob Smedley. A really good day for Williams.
So come on, what did you think when you saw Vettel's slow, sticky wheel nut? We're in here.
Joy. Joy, I'm here to win. That's what I thought. Joy. I thought, we have a chance of getting past. And Dave Robson, Felipe's race engineer, got that message in straight away that changed the mode, started him pushing on. Knew they would be racing at the pit lane, as it was at the end of the pit lane, as it was their stop was even longer. It was even more of a disaster for them. So we were quite comfortable when we come out, and then it was just going to be holding on till the end from there.
Did you have any doubt that Felipe would be able to hold Seb off?
I had no doubt whatsoever.
Why?
Because he's a good driver.
And because maybe it's a bit personal for him and for you?
No, there's nothing personal whatsoever. And I have, whoever we beat, I'm happy. There's absolutely nothing personal, but I have no doubt that he would have held him off.
Good. What about Valtteri's race? Difficult first period. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, getting stuck behind Nico. I have to say, hats off to Force India, who've done a great job here this weekend. But it took us a while to get past, and then when we did get past, I saw, Nico pitted almost immediately. We then pitted to protect, which was absolutely the right thing to do when you look at Hulkenberg sectors. But the pit stop was a little bit longer than was optimum, let's say, and we come up behind, so we had it all to do again. So it was a bit of a messy race for him, really, but he got that fifth position, which was about the best we could do today with him.
It was indeed. It's a 13-point gain for Williams on Ferrari. They started the day 76 behind. It's now 63, the difference. This is it. They want to battle hard. They believe they've got a chance at taking second by the end of the season.
Yeah, and they've had to work hard, haven't they? Because I think there was a bit of surprise on everyone's front that Ferrari had leapt over the winter into that sort of challenging for the second spot position. And I think, all credit to Williams. They put on a fantastic performance here. Obviously, they got the right engine. Mercedes engine dominated, really, with the exception of Ferrari, showing what they can do. Very, very difficult circuit to be quick on just using your chassis.
Absolutely. Well, this was the moment, really, that Felipe Massa got lucky. And it was because of this, the rear right, the pit stop of Vettel. He was delayed for a few more seconds than he would have liked, getting stuck and getting very frustrated as well. And just in the background, I think you'll be able to see Felipe Massa. This was him, just coming through there, and he held him off, and it was a good defensive drive at the end. Very good defensive drive, because, when something becomes more valuable, it becomes more difficult to hold on to in some senses. But Felipe Massa, very experienced driver, and as is Sebastian Vettel. So that's what they paid for. That's what they do. They deliver at the end. Okay, let's get the thoughts of the four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel has been speaking with Natalie.
Seb, had it not been for the slow pit stop for you and the fact that you ultimately ran out of laps, do you think you would have caught him and got on the podium for the 6th time for Ferrari today?
Well, if the race was significantly longer, maybe yes, but yeah, he did a good job. He did a couple of small mistakes, but nothing major. Got the exits right, so it was very tricky for me. We know that the Williams is difficult to pass. It's probably one of the most difficult cars to pass on track. Also, they had strong pace today, so it was not like, we were 1 second a lap quicker, and we could choose the place where we want to pass. So I was obviously trying to create something, but didn't happen. Ran out of magic.
I mean, you showed real magic on Friday. There was some and practice sessions. You looked like you had real pace. Where did that go today, do you think?
I don't think it disappeared. I've had a good feeling. I think the car was feeling good. But probably the others were able to, find a little bit. And yeah, I think very simple to explain. Mercedes seems to be able to, whether it's with these conditions, whether it's since they have the new engine, to run their high power mode, so to say, their quality mode, more often in the race. Surely in the opening laps, if you look at the 2 cars ahead, and obviously Williams has the same engine, so yeah, in that regard, not a surprise.
Well done. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so 4th for Sebastian Vettel, 5th for Valtteri Bottas. Let's hear from him as well.
Started in 6th, finished in 5th. A great haul of points for the team. You can afford yourself a smile today, can't you?
Well, yeah, it is a good result for us as a team, but I was hoping, of course, a bit more from this race, and just had a brake problem from halfway of the race, and had to save the car and bring it home. But some good stuff there with the overtakes.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some nice moves from you there.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
That?
Yeah, of course. It was good racing, but shame it wasn't further in the front.
Well done today. Thanks a lot.
Well, let's see exactly how he was able to do it. This is Valtteri off of the start itself. So nice and clean as he gets away. A little bit better there from Hulkenberg. They're all fighting on the inside. Just sneaks up. Maybe Hulkenberg gave him a little bit more room. Doesn't quite get it stuck. Got a little bit of pressure on his left-hand side from the Toro Rosso, but he's down the inside, so that gives him a better chance now to take control of this situation. He's moving over on him, but he can brake late, really does sort of take his time to get the right line, loses, surprisingly, a little bit of traction on the exit of turn 2, but a great start all the same. But this was one of those overtakes which was really good for him. So out of turn 1, he's got a nice run down towards turn 2, and it's the situation of how he's going to sort of pick his way of overtaking. Surprisingly, Verstappen goes to the left-hand side, goes up the inside and makes it sort of a lot easier. Runs a little bit wide, but isn't really a problem for him as he exits turn 2. But then there was a great overtake with Nico Hulkenberg as well. And as we're heading down towards turn 3, Hulkenberg obviously is going to defend on the inside, but on the outside he goes, turns in, gives himself just enough space, a little bit of a lock on the front right-hand tyre there, but that allows him to make that move stick. But of course, then we come down to the pit stop itself. A little bit slow on the rears, you'll see, will take a bit longer than the guys on the front. Just gets out in front of the Toro Rosso, and there we are. He's dropped behind Hulkenberg again. He's got to do the same thing again. Hulkenberg defends on the inside, just runs a little bit wide, which gives Valtteri that chance of getting up the inside, getting the drive. Hulkenberg is still really trying hard to fight him off, and Valtteri is very aware of that in his mirrors. So as they break to turn 3, there is Hulkenberg just coming back into play, has that little lock once again, but some great racing was done by the boy Valtteri.
Indeed, there was. Right, let's go up to the commentary box. Crofty's still there, and he was waiting. He issued a rallying cry, didn't he, to you at home?
Yeah.
About positivity. Come on, let's not complain. And have they responded in kind?
Oh, they've responded. And so far, they're actually very kind, because they're not swearing at me like Gerhard Berger did on the podium, to be honest. I accept everyone's view. We're all entitled to opinion on this one. And as the fans, you have a right to voice your opinion. I don't necessarily agree with you all, but I'm going to read some out. Jim says, I've got my tickets for Spa, was debating whether to get a Silverstone ticket, but after that race I think I've decided. Well, I hope you come in, Jim. See you there if you are. How can competition be introduced back into F1? All too predictable at the moment, says Dan Young, who obviously had Rosberg, Hamilton and Massa as his top three for today. Well done if you did. Tear up the rule book, says Jonathan Lister. That's what I say. Bored to tears of health and safety F1. Rules for the sake of rules. I assume he means the engine penalties. They're not brilliant, but they were introduced for a reason that in hindsight is causing a bit of confusion and anger amongst the fans. Yet again, if you don't have a Merc engine, you can barely race. Aero doesn't allow for overtaking too. Very mediocre show, says Andy P. Are we at a stage where Honda and Renault need to be given time to make their engines better to improve the show? That's not a bad idea if you ask me. Jay Jose says, starting to think we need to look at cheap customer cars and get more cars on track, getting a tad boring, and unfortunately. And Tom Clayton, another disappointing race. How long will it take for the thrill factor to return to F1? I've had one tweet so far that I've seen from a person who said, I really enjoyed today's race, but keep them coming in. We're here for a while.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Crofty, just to come straight back to you on this one, that in terms of trending, you're ahead of Pastor Maldonado, but just slightly behind Katie Hopkins, who must have said something bigoted again, I should imagine. So,
not sure where I'd rather be, ahead of Pastor or behind him, ahead of Katie or behind her. Who knows? What a choice.
Absolutely. Right, okay, let's move it on and talk a little bit about Nico Hülkenberg. Hear from him in a moment, but Le Mans Willer at the end of a very good week for him. I mean, he's just to finish with that great performance.
Yeah, I think it's very important, to actually get something solid in F1. And you do wonder whether, you give a guy an opportunity to race something else, he can go away and he can refresh himself, gets a bit of confidence back, wins something. He knows he's a winner. He comes here, did a fantastic job in qualifying, great job in the race. I'm sure that has an effect. It's very soul-destroying week in, week out, year in, year out for a lot of these guys not to have a shot at winning. And I think that's what we've been hearing from these tweets. And I am sympathetic, completely sympathetic. I think if we can get a formula whereby a team, a driver that turns up in Formula One has got a chance of winning, it might be a long shot, but we need to be able to increase improve the chances that somebody can win a race. You don't want a load of teams that are just never going to get a chance of winning a race. The question is how you do it. That is the problem.
Let's hear from the man himself. Here is Nico Hülkenberg.
How satisfied are you with sixth today?
Yeah, very. I think going into the race it was always going to be difficult to keep the Williams behind, so I think maximum reach for us today.
And how much of it was down to the upgraded engine for you guys?
Well, not much. I mean, we had full engine beans already in Montreal last race, so that was just a new engine in terms of hardware, but power-wise, nothing changed. So it was just down to, a good pace, and I think sixth place on merit.
And fantastic for the constructors, because you've got a good haul of points with both cars in the points, which has bumped you up.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Especially going into the team's second home race at Silverstone. I mean, you must be feeling really well after India, but I know that's not on the calendar anymore. But so it's your first home race.
Exactly, and we get some presents there. So hopefully the presents work, and we're all like the presents. But that's to be seen. We're all quite confident that those upgrades will make the car faster, and everybody is obviously excited to see them on the car.
Good stuff. See you at Silverstone.
Thank you.
Right, a couple of years ago, talking about him, this sort of time of the season, who's going to take him? Is he going to be a Ferrari driver? It passed him by with that Le Mans win, with the way he's going, and you're talking about that spring in his step. Do you think that someone might just come a-knocking this summer?
I'm sure it's helped. I mean, it's about being in the front of people's minds. And if he's gone somewhere else and won something, then it does help. It puts his name up there. I mean, everyone wanted to interview him when they came here. They want to say, well done on Le Mans and everything. And then they wanted to interview him because he'd also done well in F1. Now, this is very important for drivers. I mean, as I was saying, his name has gone back into the frame. His name was always in the frame, but it sinks to the bottom pile slowly over the years. If other new guys are coming like Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, and you're not going to. You have to strike where the iron's hot with F1. and he was, unfortunately, the regulations conspired against him because he was too heavy. So I heard a designer saying, we'd love to have him, we know he's good, we know he's great, but he's too tall and he's too heavy. So that was unfair. He can't do anything about that. So the regulations ought to be able to allow it. They've increased the weight limit a little bit this year, and that might be helping him.
Hello, Johnny. Yeah, we're talking about Nico Hülkenberg. You probably guessed there. If you're a Riva Bene and the way things are going with Kimi, I mean, if you're looking at drivers, is he right at the front of your mind alongside Bottas?
Yeah, I think you've got Valtteri and probably Hülkenberg for one. Probably the guys who've got a bit of experience and the ones you would think will do the job reliably. With everything that's happened with him, I think, like Damon said, you know, that door has to open for you. You have to be in the right place at the right time, and that chance might be there because as it's going, sadly, it's not really working out with Kimi at the moment. But of course, you've got to look to the future at the same time. He's coming to the end of his career, Kimi, and now you need to sort of get the good guys, because if you don't get the good guys, then there's a good chance someone else will get them as well. So.
OK, let's hear from Lewis Hamilton, second place today from pole. Here he is now.
Hi, Lewis. How are you? How are you reflecting on today's race?
Oh, good. It's a good, decent day in the job, in the office.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think you couldn't find an answer for Nico's pace today with the tyres?
I don't know. It was quicker just in the second stint. In the first stint, he was very close as well. So he did a great job, and obviously they lost it out at the start.
And what was that about? Why do you think you did at the start?
Well, I let the clutch out and just underperforms. So something that I've been having since Barcelona. And before that, I was having really good starts.
You seem pretty calm about it all, taking it all in your stride. So 10-point lead now in the drivers, but we now go ahead to Silverstone, which I know that you love because it's obviously in front of your home fans. It's a track that you love. You must be excited.
Yes, very much looking forward to seeing lots and lots of Brits and get to drive that circuit because it's a great track. It's the home Grand Prix is always is your favourite one. So obviously Nico got to win his home Grand Prix in Monaco, so I'll be out to fight for the strike and get our own.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, he likes it there. Last year's winner, of course. Yeah, what is it about this track? I've asked Damon about this. What is it about this track particularly that gets under Lewis's skin? It's not his favourite.
It doesn't seem to be his favourite. You know, one thing he's very good at is sort of the last of the late breakers. That didn't seem to be the issue. It always seems to be that middle sector, and it seems to be understeer. I think maybe something that comes into play. And once you've got that sort of push, it's very hard to then, one, look after the tyre, two, to sort of keep the momentum and the speed. And I think that is where he has suffered. Got it together in qualifying for that mid sector. But you try and do that for every lap of the race. That's where you can damage the tyre.
Yeah, just have a look at the mistake that he made as well, because he crossed the line at the end of the pit lane, and for that he got 5 seconds. So even if he'd got ahead of Nico Rosberg, he'd have had to get a fair way down the track. He's a bit careless, really, isn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, I mean, on the back of what happened at Monaco as well. And Canada was it was okay, but Nico's very, the competition's not he hasn't got a huge advantage. It's getting very close, and we started off the season with him on a roll, and I thought, like everybody, I thought he's put Nico in a box, and we're never going to see him for dust. But Nico has worked away, and he's ground away, and now Lewis has got a fight in his hand for the championship.
This was the strong sector of the season as well, wasn't it, for Nico last year? This is where he came good.
Yeah, exactly, and again he came good today. It was in total control as soon as he got in the lead, and he has spoken about that. The most important thing for him was, one, to get pole position. Didn't actually get that, but he actually got into turn one first, and then he was able to control it exactly like he said it would happen.
Pasta's on a hot streak, 6 points last time out in Montreal, a further 6 today. Let's hear from him.
Well, Pasta, P7, I mean, that's a great result for you and the team. It's been a difficult weekend for the team as a whole and for you. Some worrying times earlier in the weekend and some fairly tense moments on the track as well today.
Yeah, it was quite a nice race. It was quite difficult at the really beginning because I nearly stole the car on the start. I think we did a mistake on not having a lot of chance to do the starts here because they were forbidden. And yeah, it was a great strategy from the team point of view. So thanks to the team, great job, good balance in the car. And at the end, yes, quite close with Verstappen, and even before, fighting for good places and fighting always in attacking the race is that kind of race that I really enjoy. And yeah, at the end, on P7 is the position I think we deserve for this weekend.
Well done. Thanks a lot.
Johnny, as founder members of the Pasta fan club, it's good to see him back and racing hard and scoring points, but you know, it was still a little bit lively out there.
That was lively, wasn't it? He sort of pulled out rather sharpish and nearly lost the thing. But again, his car control, we've seen, he's so good. Out the rear end sort of slides away with a nice bit of control, a little bit of a tank slap as he goes in towards turn 1. But this is turn 3. No, it's not. It's the last turn. Sorry, the sun's just come out. I can't see anything now. That's into turn 1, and there's a car in front of him. That's all I can see at the moment. So that's going down the straight towards turn 2. Oh, there we go.
Thanks, that was insightful. That was. It's because the sun came out and you haven't got any eyebrows left, so it wasn't shade.
But thanks for that. I've never seen a car nearly, getting a massive tank slapper like that on the straight.
Not on the straight. No. It's only Pastor's going to be able to do that.
He certainly made him jump when the old fuel saving light came on.
Yeah, definitely
right
so.
Toe,
but it's great, the result, because he's getting that consistency come into form, and that's something that's going to be very important for him in his career.
And he held it as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, but credit to those at Enstone, because it's been a barren couple of years for them as well. It's just nice to see them making some progress.
It is, because both cars are doing very well. It was great to see him sort of in the sharp end of the grid as well. And again, with Pastor himself, we know as quick he is a race winner, and that's something that we're going to see hopefully more of good results coming their way.
He's got total self-belief as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
whatever happens, he still believes he's got what it takes, and that's a big part of it.
Just have a look at this, Pete, going over here. Look, I like this. Felipe Jr. has followed Felipe Sr. around all weekend. He predicted his father's 3rd place today. He is the oracle. And we hope to hear from him and his dad when we come back for a race that Nico Rosberg has won here in Austria.
Welcome along to the Austrian Grand Prix. It's lights out in Austria, and away we go. Seems like a pretty good start there from Nico Rosberg. Hamilton tries to cover him over, and down towards turn 1. Has Rosberg got into the lead? He has, and that's a very big accident. Raikkonen has collected Alonso.
Is Fernando okay? Watch this lap, retire the car.
Hamilton appears to have no answer to Rosberg's pace.
Good move from the Finnish driver.
Closing that gap nice and steady.
Verstappen makes the move.
How did he get so far ahead? We have a penalty for crossing the white line.
And it's slow, it's another slow pit stop for Ferrari.
This could get a little fruity, I think, towards the end. They're on it. They're absolutely on it.
It's time to get amongst it.
It's as slippery as a banana up there.
Tires are completely gone.
At least you've still got 4 of them, son.
Are you sure there's no reliability concern on the tyre?
Nico Rosberg wins at the Red Bull Ring for Mercedes, who take a 1-2 finish.
Yeah, guys! Yes! Come on, guys!
Austria becomes the 2nd track where Nico Rosberg has had multiple wins, along with Monaco, of course. Lewis Hamilton having to settle for 2nd. Felipe Massa, his first podium of this season. Well done to him. It was because Sebastian Vettel got stuck in the pit stop, but he kept him behind as he was pushing hard towards the end. Good result for Nico Hülkenberg, starting from 5th, in that forcing you in 6th. Le Mans at the start of the week, and that result at the end. Max Verstappen, impressive again from the youngster. Further down, though, you can see the retirements once again for both of the McLarens, Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso. Now, in the drivers, the gap is back down to 10 points between Hamilton and Rosberg. Sebastian Vettel tucked in again. It was another fruitless day for Kimi Räikkönen. Nico Hülkenberg making a leap up into the top 10 ahead of Romain Grosjean. Further down, still to get off the mark, Fernando Alonso, and he did exit stage left pretty quickly. In the constructors, the gap is 136 between Mercedes and Ferrari. Crucially for Williams, they've closed the gap by 13 points, and Force India have gone above Lotus and Sauber. And I am here with Felipe Jr. and Felipe Sr. And Felipe Jr., you are the cleverest man in the world. You said that Daddy was going to finish third,
yes.
And he finished third.
Yes.
How did you know?
I don't know that.
He was thinking, huh?
Yeah.
You believe I was going to finish third, no?
Yeah.
And he was right. Thank you. I hope you tell me the right position, good position every race.
You need to think Daddy's going to be first next race.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you have
do
to
that.
think positive thoughts, and he can finish first. Well done, Felipe. It was a great drive today. What were you thinking at the end when Sebastian Vettel was closing you down?
It was tough. It was difficult, because I expect him to be close to me at the end of the race, because we know that they have no, keep to you. you know that they use better the tires in the race. I mean, he was a little bit quicker in the first stint, and then I understood maybe the second stint, looking how much I was in front, he was going to be close to me at the end, and he was. It was difficult to keep him behind, but I just managed to, in the important place that you need to have a good traction, just managed to have a good line to open a little bit the gap on that place, because he was the most dangerous place on the track,
How does it help at all knowing Ferrari inside out as you do, knowing what they might be thinking, or from your point of view, being Williams now?
Well, a little bit helps, but I think the experience as well, it helps you understand, how you need to behave when you have somebody quicker to you behind. But it's not a very easy track for overtaking as well, so it's important not to give him the opportunity to try. So, but you need to just calm down and trying to have the right lines, as well.
And that seems to be something with you. Sort of calming down is something your ability now to sort of really get the best out of the car has really started to shine through properly. So you must be pleased with the performances that you are being able to put in for the team.
Yeah, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased with the result we had today, and it's also true that. We had an opportunity, with the Ferrari's problems they had in the pit stop. So we understand that maybe we're still the third quickest team on the championship. But whatever opportunity, we need to get it. Today we get it, and I think we are not far away. We are just there, maybe 1 or 2 tenths slower per lap. And we know that whatever improvement we have in the car, we can maybe be there on the same level. But I think, you just need to keep the right approach for every different time, which is what we did today.
Are you expecting the developments to keep on going? I mean, how closely do you realistically think that you can push Ferrari?
I don't know how long it will go, our development. I'm sure we still have some new parts until maybe before or just after August. But I don't know after, because we know that next year is important. We know that sometimes, Mercedes is already stopping and thinking about next year. Maybe Ferrari, if they don't have the opportunity to which they will not have an easy opportunity to get Mercedes, they maybe will think about next year. So we know we cannot lose time, and we have a good gap compared to Red Bull as well. I don't know how long it will be.
I was just noticing that. I think Felipe Jr. is getting a little bit bored and wants to go. But before we go, I keep seeing you practicing your football in the paddock. What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be a racing driver or a famous Brazilian footballer?
Racing driver.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
You didn't want to hear that,
to find sponsor, huh?
Okay. Got to find sponsors.
Huh?
Here he is, sponsor.
Well done, thanks, guys.
Well done.
Safe flight home. Right, okay, let's hear from race winner Nico Rosberg.
Nico, 11th win, back-to-back here in Austria. Other than one critical lap in qualifying, you had this weekend covered.
I had Sunday covered. Saturday, not really. No, but it's been a great day. You know, it really worked out well. The start was important, and I got that, nailed that. Of course, a large part of it is the clutch settings that my engineer puts in the car, and then it was a big battle, of course, turn 1, 2, 3. But I was defending well, and then after that, between the two of us, you know, when you get in front after the start, it's so difficult because we have the same car. So unless someone makes a mistake, you can't really overtake. And then I was also well, I'll let you do a question. Come on.
No, go for it. Keep talking.
I was also very happy to have the race pace today, you know, because racecraft was where I needed to work on a little bit from last year, and this year it's really coming good. So to pull away like that in the end was great to see.
And you were obviously notified of Lewis's penalty.
Yeah, for sure. And that just took a little bit of the extra. What is it? Made it a bit easier because I knew that even if he's coming at me with that 5-second penalty, it will be I've got it in the bag.
And the tyre vibration then, it wasn't a flat spot. You think it was just the tyre was going out of round or something?
I don't know. It was worn. It was heavily worn. Front wear was my main problem today. And so just a chunk probably came out or something and then started vibrating, which was a bit of a concern initially. But then it stabilized and was fine.
Silverstone next.
Yep.
See you there.
Hello, welcome to the Austrian Grand Prix notebook. And look, there's the trophy, and I believe that is the Styrian wood that is well resplendent around here and sort of mahogany-esque, isn't it? Do you know what that wood is, Paddy?
Sorry?
Someone explain to you what the trophy's actually been made out of.
Should we go and get one?
Well, no, Andy's got it. I mean, does it say what? Does it say on the bottom, like made in Austria or something?
Made of?
Well, apparently it's made of Styrian wood, but it's nice, isn't it?
The surprising bit is the weight of the base as well.
Really? What? Light or heavy? This is interesting, isn't it? Guess the trophy weight with Paddy Lowe.
Feel the weight of that.
Blimey! What are they made it out of? Like, what's hard? What's depleted uranium is pretty heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's only brass, but as you
No
say,
way.
it feels like something denser than that. Very impressive.
Okay, good.
We use tungsten on the car for ballast,
Yeah, but
and
you
that's
should-
pretty impressive when you pick it up.
You're not allowed to use depleted uranium anymore, are you?
No, but tungsten is almost as dense, and you pick it up, it's about, I mean, it is twice as dense as your normal experience.
It is nice that it's got that nice fresh. Sorry to sniff your trophy there, Paddy, but it has got that nice fresh wood smell to it.
Yeah, it's great.
Good, right. Well, this has got silly enough. Congratulations. Did Lewis say what it was on the start? He said it was clutch control or something. Lewis
Sorry,
said-
repeat that.
Sorry, Lewis said it was clutch control, I think, on the start. Have you looked into it yet?
I think the start itself was very, very similar to Nico's start. So there was some issue just at the initiation of it, which I don't understand at the moment, but yeah, something around that.
All right, brilliant. Thanks very much, Paddy. And star of the day for me really has to go to Nico Rosberg because it was flawless. He was flawless, let's face it, we know. And what I was impressed with, here we go, Andy, let's have a look at him, was that the race pace was there and he didn't take the disappointment from having pole snatched away from him. As we said yesterday, the whole weekend was his, apart from pole position. He was looking so good. Lewis then goes and throws it off the road in the last run in qualifying 3, giving Nico an open opportunity to stick it in the back of the net and get a pole, and then he throws it off the road himself, so he doesn't actually manage to get it. But to convert that, to get a better start, to convert it to the race win. And I think the crucial thing for Rosberg was that it was an example of how his race pace has improved, and I thought maybe you've already heard that, but he was talking about it in the press conference that I was listening to. He was saying, yes, everyone says that Lewis is fast when he's out front, but look, I can be fast when I'm out front as well. So Rosberg first, Lewis Hamilton second. Lewis Hamilton with a penalty, of course, saying that not the result that he wanted. He was worried a little bit about the gap behind, but he didn't have to worry with the 5 seconds added on or anything like that, because in the end, Massa was very far behind. So Lewis said on the radio, were we okay with the gap behind? He said, yeah, don't worry about that. So with the 5 seconds added on, of course, but I got a feeling Lewis, once he thinks about it, prides himself on being a professional driver, will be slightly annoyed about making that little mistake, even though actually it didn't amount to a hill of beans. Right, Red Bull, Ricciardo 10th, 12th for Kvyat, and pretty good actually for Ricciardo. He was saying the car was going well on the option tyre at the end, the red striped super soft tyre at the end. He thought with another lap he could have got Perez in front of him. Perez finished 9th, of course. Kvyat had a broken front wing early on at the start, so that's a good recovery from Kvyat for 12th. You might see a wandering Brian in shot. Brian is just watching Andy's. Hello, Brian. Say hello. Brian's doing a great job because he's watching Andy's back. We're in all right, Brian, actually, because there aren't the forklifts today because there's the test, of course, coming up. So thanks for doing it because Andy might liable to go over, but you might see Brian in shot, but he's just watching Andy's back. Carry on. So Andy doesn't trip over anything. Good. All right, let's do Williams, and they've got every right to be very happy. You can pop it, see if you want. As we say, there is this test, so there aren't any forklifts going up and down, which is why we've got quite a quiet pit lane. Felipe Massa 3rd, Valtteri Bottas 5th. Rob Smedley was classic, as he always is on the radio on the slowdown lap. He said, well done, Felipe, not bad for an old man. I desperately wanted Felipe to say, well, speak for yourself, Rob, but he didn't. He said, yes, not bad for an old man. But Felipe, as you might have heard already, turned up the pace after Sebastian Vettel's botched pit stop, and then took the lead from the Ferrari to maintain 3rd, held on and defended very well when he needed to. But as we'll hear in a moment from what Sebastian Vettel said, actually it was pretty straightforward with the Mercedes engine that they've got in the back. Valtteri Bottas, I think he said on the end of the radio, sorry we couldn't race, and it was frustrated. There was a problem at the pit stop, slow start, then there's a problem at the pit stop, dropped behind Hulkenberg. They actually jumped Hulkenberg for a moment, but then when they responded to Hulkenberg's stop, they fell behind him again because Bottas had a slow pit stop. It was longer than it needed to be. So there was immense frustration for Valtteri Bottas there. So he had to overtake Hulkenberg all over again, but he did that to finish 5th. Sebastian Vettel 3rd, and they've got the screens up for Kimi Raikkonen's crashed Ferrari. But let's talk about Sebastian Vettel. He said on the radio, they said apologies for the stop, but he said, don't worry guys, these things happen. The car was great, but the Mercedes engine was too strong on the straight. But thanks anyway, guys. And it was a wheel gun. It wasn't a wheel gun problem. It was a cross-threaded wheel nut on the front of the Ferrari. I'm just trying to see if we can show you the Ferrari so I can illustrate what the issue is and how I'm not sure having this tight thread is really worth the troubles that it is providing, because here you see the guys sort of dismounting the tyres, because they do this very, very tight thread on these captive wheel nuts. Can you see in there, Andy? There's only about sort of 3 layers of thread in there. It's a very, very sort of wide thread on there. They do that for quicker pit stops. Okay, but then when you get pit stops, messing up and costing them positions in the race, what supposedly you're gaining in a quicker pit stop, the tenths of a second in a quicker pit stop, you're losing in giving away podium positions. So more trouble than it's worth, you might consider. You can have that debate amongst yourselves, because it's not the first time Ferrari have had problems in the pit stops with their sticking wheels and wheel nuts. Bahrain, do you remember? And earlier on in the season, they had issues with that as well. Kimi Raikkonen, someone suggested that him and Alonso getting together look like 2 Formula One cars mating. But I think the serious side of that is that Kimi was very lucky not to get anything, his hands hurt or anything like that. They are still under investigation, but the mood in the paddock is that they will be let off. It will just be a racing incident. But more pressure on Kimi Raikkonen. Vettel said on the radio after the race, when he was told of the 1, 2, 3 with Rosberg, Hamilton and Massa, he said, well, surprise, surprise. I think he was alluding to the Mercedes engine 1, 2, 3. McLaren, DNF and DNF. And during the race, they really wanted to start packing up and getting the cars home. But unfortunately, of course, they've got to stay for a test. So they all went and had their tea instead. But what I can tell you is that they timed their 10-second stop-go penalties absolutely perfectly. Jensen Button's stop-go penalty was 10.08 seconds stationary time, which is brilliant. So they only dropped 0.08 of a second slower than they needed to on the 10-second stop-go penalty. So well done, McLaren. You've got good stopwatches. They probably did it by computer, knowing McLaren. But in the test next week, it's, or rather on Tuesday, it's Fernando Alonso and Stoffel van Dorn. Interesting. Okay, so lots of rumours about Stoffel van Dorn, who's really bossing it in GP2 at the moment, getting a Formula One drive next year, and he's going to try out the McLaren. Let's see what he can do with it. I hope it doesn't break down for him. It's an empty Sergio Perez and Nico Hülkenberg, but my other star of the day has to be for Nico Hülkenberg to come in sixth, only drop the one place to the Williams in the end. Some thought that Nico Hülkenberg might be a candidate for the Haas Ferrari drive. And you've probably seen these rumours, and he's kind of admitted this weekend that he's not receiving any interest from any of the championship winning or race winning or challenging teams for his services next year. So I wonder whether he's looking at the customer Ferrari team at Haas F1, whether it will be Hülkenberg. That's the sort of rumour around there. But then he also has to balance that with maybe Force India with a Mercedes engine isn't such a bad place to hang around in going forward. But we'll see about that. But Hülkenberg was saying on the radio, the tyre wasn't great at the end, but they responded to Valtteri Bottas. It's unfortunate with the pit stop, which I just told you about. It's unfortunate they couldn't keep Valtteri Bottas behind. Williams were too quick. Now, Toro Rosso, frustration here, such frustration that when I tried to interview Franz Tost after the race, he blanked me for the fifth race in a row. So he was clearly upset because he's normally such a lovely, talkative bloke. He didn't want to talk, apparently, so today did Franz Tost. But never mind. With this engine, to be in the points again with Max Verstappen, I think is brilliant. So Max Verstappen got some great points there. He was 8th. Carlos Sainz was a DNF, and Verstappen had a great fight with Kvyat, I thought, even though he was on the new tyres. But it was good racecraft by the youngster, the 17-year-old. Carlos Sainz, they believe it was some kind of control electronics. He kept having to change things. They told him to fail sensor 11, and then he said it didn't help, and they had to retire, which was a real shame because otherwise it would have been 2 cars in the points, both Sainz and Verstappen. And an engine track for Toro Rosso would have got both cars in the pits. Would have been really, really impressive. So a shame for that, but well done to Max Verstappen for being, thank you, Brian, for being back in the points. Romain Grosjean's gearbox failure, stuck in 3rd. They think it's control electronics or anything like that, but we'll see. You can see Grosjean's car being dismantled over here. And 7th for Pastor Maldonado. Wow, okay, so he just goes from strength to strength after scoring his first points of the season last time out. And catch of the day, of course, for Pastor, managing to hold on to it and the run down while he overtook Max Verstappen. He was on better tyres. Verstappen realised his tyres were gone in that fight. Mana Marussia are not doing the test because, well, they can't afford it, and there's not really any point. But they are bringing some new parts, apparently, to Silverstone, to the British Grand Prix, which is interesting. Ow! I hate it when you bang your elbow. It really got me. Ow, sorry. So, yeah, I don't know what these parts are, but they don't. They'll be testing them at Friday. They don't see the point in doing the test here. So they are packing up, the only garage to be doing that. Interesting failure or rather reason for retirement for Will Stevens. A bit of debris from one of the first lap crashes. They're not sure if it was the Kimi Alonso one or another one. That a bit of debris came through his radiator, actually punctured the radiator and caused an oil leak. So that's why Will Stevens retired. And Roberto Merri came home 14th. Not a bad result for them, actually, got to say, given the final analysis, but still it was a sort of fairly uneventful race. Now, I think that was Fabio Lima with the interesting trousers. Is that Fabio Graham, down there. Was that Fabio Lima there? Where's he gone? I want to have a look at his stonewashed trousers. I haven't seen them since 1993.
Sure, he can send you a picture of them. So he's driving home from here. So I think it's an 8-hour drive, so he's setting off now.
Okay. You don't need to do the test because, you can't afford it? There's no point you doing it?
Yeah, it's the wrong test at the wrong time and in the wrong place, really, for us. So, we're better just focused on some other things. So, a decent enough race. So, at least on one car.
What are these new parts you've got for Silverstone?
We've got to keep developing all the time, as you know. So, I think there's quite a few bits to go on for Silverstone, so you've got to always keep pushing.
All right. Okay. Did you receive lots of texts of people spotting you on that program on Channel 4, the TFI?
yeah, it was fun actually. Yeah. So
you were front and centre, mate, getting covered by feathers. Shameless.
It's a dangerous job on the television, isn't it? You got to watch out. Yeah, no, it was really good fun. I think everyone had some fun.
But it was, yeah. Okay, listen, we've got to go because we have to get on. Marcus Ericsson finally at Sauber. He was 13th. Felipe Nasser 11th. Frustrating. It was a weekend to forget because they were so close to the points. Better pace here, really close to the points. But then Marcus Ericsson had to change his front wing at the end because he caught it with the front wing, the Alonso Raikkonen debris. And then he had a damaged floor as well, so he was slow throughout the race. And Felipe Nasser, you might not know this, he had brakes overheating yet again. So, wow, that's the second race in succession that Nasser has had a problem with the brakes. And he has trailed home 11th. Couldn't defend his position at the end from Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull. They are testing this week with Raffaele Marciello, the Ferrari young driver who's sort of seconded to Sauber, and Felipe Nasser. Right. That is it for the notebook. We will see you at the British Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time. But for now, still on the show, let's hear from Christian Horner, the Red Bull team boss. Well, considering everything, come away with some points.
With a point. Yeah, no, I mean, I think Ricciardo did a great job today. We effectively ran the race back to front, starting on the slower prime, and then going on to the option, and then the penalty of the extra 5 seconds in the pit lane. I think that without that he would have been ahead of Perez at the end there. So good recovery from him. Unfortunately, with Kvyat, he had a rocket ship of a launch at the start, and I think the cars ahead of him, looks like he's run out the back of Perez, and that then damaged the front wing and took quite a lot of damage to the underneath of the car. So then you're just living in hope for others' misfortune, unfortunately.
Another home race next. Red Bull Racing's home race at Milton Keynes, just up the road from your factory. Better there?
Should be. Hopefully we can have a better run at Silverstone. It should better suit the characteristics of our car. Obviously, we need to make some improvements on the chassis side as well. Everybody's working, and focusing hard on that. We just keep our heads down and keep pushing on.
Right. Quick question, if I can, finally, Christian, on future engine supply. We know you're with Renault for next year, but Sergio Marchionne from Fiat's been here today and has told us that there is a Ferrari engine supply for Red Bull Racing in the future. If you want one, do you want one?
Well, that's very kind of him. As you say, we've got a Renault engine next year. I'm sure Sergio's engine would be extremely cheap. Or free.
It would be. Sorry, I don't get that. Explain.
I'm sure he'd be very happy to give us an engine.
Okay, but you wouldn't necessarily want to have it because then they'd have control over that. And as Dietrich said yesterday, you kind of need to stay with the works, the number one supply there, don't you?
Well, let's not forget. I mean, Red Bull was a customer of Ferrari for I think 8 years with Toro Rosso. So there's already a long history of relationship between the companies that know how each other operate. So, very good of Sergio to make the offer.
Okay, thanks, Christian.
Well, Martin Brundle, could you see that happening?
No, I don't think so. I think if they went that way, they'd go for the Mercedes, wouldn't they, if there was one available? But they're committed. They're contracted to Renault for next year. So somehow they've got to crowbar the window open to develop that engine, as have Honda. I think we saw Kimi heading off down there, didn't we? Is he heading off to the steward's office or something? Tedos?
I think he's already been.
Yeah, I just saw he was going. He might have just been going to the back of the garage then.
I went to check, but there's still no word on that. It's just going to be a racing incident, though, isn't it?
I'd have thought so. You can see where he lit it up and shifted gear and lit it up again, and with that launch map on that he spun off with in Canada, and we saw him doing quite a lot of that last year as well. He doesn't seem to be able to manage the power when he's in that map.
Sorry, just to go back to clarify, because I went back, as me being particularly dim, but it turned out that I did know what Horner was talking about. That he was saying that I'm sure he can offer us our engine, but I don't want it. Yeah. I went back and checked with Christian, and he said, look, they would have complete control over the engine that we had, and
they charge a fortune. That's what he was saying. I'm sure he'd be happy to have it for nothing, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but that was key at the end, that quote. Did you pick up on that, where Christian said, well, we've had a long history. We've run Ferrari engines before, and we know, what was his word? We know how each other's company operates. It's a little... So you read into that he doesn't want it because he knows that he'll get a Duff engine from Ferrari, or he thinks he will. And that's interesting,
well, that is a problem with any of this engine supply business. When you have a works team, they are not going to give the very best they've got to anyone else. Why would they do that? It doesn't make sense. So it's one of the issues we've got with this engine formula at the moment.
So let's have that absolutely correct statement in mind and put this to McLaren. And so let's have a look at the complete horrendous weekends that they keep having. And it's getting worse, isn't it? It's getting much worse. But let's go back to the original piece of logic. Is that the right thing for McLaren to do, to go with an original supplier like Honda and be the works team? Well, actually, I think it probably is.
That's what Mercedes does.
It probably is. Mercedes has done. Yeah. So, okay, if then that original idea is correct, that logic is correct, then can we forgive them all these horrible races where they keep having double DNFs and Jensen can barely make it past P3?
We have to remember that one of the McLarens got taken into the wall, didn't it, by the Kimster? So it wasn't a DNF from their fault today, but... if you were a new manufacturer, if you were part of the VAG, Volkswagen Audi group, you'd be looking at that thinking, I don't fancy that. If it's going to look that bad for Honda, why do we want to enter that? So we got this Mercedes dominance. But then equally, you could say, well, Ferrari have found a way over last winter, haven't they? They've found their way to improve their engine.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of this development road that does sometimes take a long time for certain manufacturers. Renault have all that experience of the turbo in the old days that everyone thought, well, that would be absolutely key for their, strength this time around. But of course, it hasn't worked for them.
Of course, going back to Red Bull. So Christian is saying, thanks but no thanks, Mr. Marchioni. I know I don't want an inferior customer engine from you. Well, where does that leave them for 2017? Actually, it leaves them with two choices: to stay with Renault or to build their own.
Or leave. With their Grand Prix, with their two teams.
Exactly, and that was the main story that dominated the headlines coming into this weekend. The thoughts of Dietrich Mateschitz and whether they might pull out of this sport. Still to be resolved, isn't it? We've got a bit more time before we go off air. It's Nico Rosberg, though, who has won here in Austria. A great drive from him from second to pit his teammate to the post. More when we come back.
I think we loved it as drivers. We love going back there now, and it's great. We've got a chance of a British win once again. But the fans, they will come back in their thousands, and it'll be absolutely awesome.
Quite often, there's been some criticisms here, but we get great racing at our home Grand Prix.
I enjoyed a lot of today's race, to be honest. I really did. Of course, it was a bit boring up front, but the rest of it, we saw some mega overtakes, non-DRS assisted. But yeah, Silverstone, you don't know if you're going to get burned or rusty there, do you, with the weather? But, we'll take it as it comes because it's a great racetrack. And the fans turn up in their droves and they enjoy it. They know a bit about F1.
They do. Crofty loves it as well. Always gets into the car parks if people are offering sausages.
I'm going to bring you some special sausages from my local butcher at Simon Laysby. 20 years, since Johnny Herbert won the British Grand Prix. Raised my eyebrows when I learned that last week. I mean, not yours, Johnny.
I'll try and raise mine. Not working.
I am really looking forward to Silverstone because I can have a conversation with the fans that's not 140 characters long, but Your conversation has been good today. I'll start with this one. Colin Walton, huge fan of Lewis Hamilton and his will to win, but he needs to stop looking like he's sulking every time he doesn't win. I tend to agree. In the aftermath of the race, he could do with being a bit cheerful. He's still on the podium after all, and he's still leading the championship. John Lindsay, is it just too clinical and commercial F1 at the moment? Does it need to get some edge back? He thinks it does. Not much wrong with F1 Crofty. Just needs ground effects to allow for closer racing, says James Hull. We're getting a few suggestions in, which is nice. What we want to see, says Colin Farrell, is not just the lower positions being challenged, but the lead as well. And I agree with that. So how do we get cars closer to the two Mercedes? And how do we get more drivers challenging as well? And Mark Force, F1 is meant to be a spectacle, but no noise and dull coloured cars really put you off. Half of the cars are silver, grey or black, so let's paint them in pink, and then we can all celebrate in the Silverstone rain, sunshine, snow, sleet, hail, whoever knows what it's going to be in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Did you say that tweet was from Colin Farrell?
Yes. Everyone's joining in on this act today.
Well done. Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Crofty.
Cheers,
well
mate.
done, as always. Yeah, going back to let's just talk about potential challenges. Do you think Christian thinks that Red Bull might have a bit of a better weekend and how they need that?
Challenging the Mercedes.
Not challenging the Mercedes. I'm just talking about better weekend for them.
Yeah, they've got a chassis with some decent downforce and balance, and there's a few straights at Silverstone, but they're dictated often by the corner before the corner exit. So anybody with a really good chassis, to say balance, give the driver confidence, attack some of those, like turn one there, wonderful corners.
Okay, coming up next, this man never stops working. Tales from the Vault.
My dad basically said in the first time, I don't want you to start right now, I want you to start later on. But then I start crying, pushing, and at the end I got my go-kart.
My dad thought I was too intelligent to become a racing driver, so unfortunately he's wrong about that. Your dad, has he been a good coach to you? Was he?
I think without him I was not sitting here right now.
I definitely think this guy is going to win in Formula 1.
Yeah, so that's all about family dynasties with young Max and young Damon as well. That's next here on Sky Sports F1. This is what we've got to look forward to this week. Midweek report from 8:30 with Nats. The F1 show in the evening from 8 on Friday, and just reconfirmation of those dates for the British Grand Prix, fortnight's time, July the 2nd to the 5th. Now, new series of True Detective featuring Colin Farrell. He's been busy. Rachel McAdams, Taylor Kitsch and Vince Vaughn starring in that. The second series, Monday night from 9 p.m. Ted, can you give us an update on the stewards?
No, they're still having a look at it because onboard camera footage is quite not available. Apparently, they weren't recording the Fernando Alonso onboard cameras because I don't think they can record all of them at the same time. So we're just having a lot more of a pause. So no decision yet. Follow at Sky Sports F1 on Twitter to see that, which we don't think anything's going to happen anyway.
Nothing works on that car at the moment, does it? Not even the onboard camera.
Fair enough, he said deadpan. Good.
Deadpan.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you, Martin. Thanks to Damon. Thanks to Johnny. It's been a fun week here in the mountains. You have to say we love coming here just outside of Spielberg. And for Mercedes, yet again, it was a 1-2. Not such a great weekend for Lewis Hamilton, starting from pole, the 45th of his career. He couldn't turn it into a win, but Nico Rosberg bounced back in the best possible way. 3 wins in 4 races for him. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Silverstone. Bye-bye.
Rolling another non-stop. Or with your looking forward to top.
Start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Enjoy Sky Sports F1 Live. On all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.